Hey everybody, welcome to Down Home Backyard Gardening. Have you ever watched a video that literally stopped you in your tracks and you were like, man, have I really been doing this wrong the whole time that I've been growing cherry tomatoes in containers? I might have been, let's be real. I'm still new to gardening. So in this video, I want to test my way of growing cherry tomatoes in containers versus another YouTuber's way that he just put out showing how to do it. I'm probably wrong, but let's have some fun and experiment. Let's grow. Let's just get this out of the way right off the bat. I am not doing this video to disprove his way or to disprove my way. I'm doing this video simply to show two different ways. And for me, as a new-ish gardener, experimenting in the backyard, just which way is the better way to get a bigger yield. Because let's be real, when you're growing tomatoes or peppers or anything, you want the most amount of fruit that you can possibly get in a season off of that plant. So if I've been doing it wrong this whole time, even though I've had really good yields off of my cherry tomatoes when I put them in a container, well, I want to maximize what I'm doing each time, right? It makes sense. So we're going to see which way actually produces more fruit. And I'm sure I was doing it wrong the whole time. So one thing I want to say is that I honestly did not know that if you put cherry tomatoes out in a raised bed, you actually should be planting them differently if you put them in a container. I didn't know that there was actually a different way of planting these types of tomato plants versus depending on where you put them. I have literally always done what I'm going to show you here in a minute that I do for tomato plants, whether it's in a container or it's out there in the garden. I've always done it the same way, but I didn't know there was a different way to do it until I watched that video, which I'll talk about that video here shortly. But right now, let me show you what I've always done, and it's worked when I plant tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, in a container. So we're going to use these two containers right here. They both have the exact same soil in them. There is no difference at all. I wanted to ensure I explain that so everyone knows that this experiment is as even as it can possibly be. Nothing has changed between these two soils. And they're both right here next to each other, so they'll get the same amount of sun throughout the day. They will be as close to perfect for an experiment as I can possibly do. I'm going to use the exact same type of tomato plants for this experiment. These are both the exact same. One here, one right there. That'll be mine in this bucket right here, and then this will be the experiment based off the other YouTuber's video. Now, whether I've planted in a container or out in the garden, what I have always done is put a mixture of blood meal and bone meal at the bottom of each hole. And that's it, nothing else. That's what I've always done. So we'll do that right now, show you all, and then we'll get into the other way. Now I'm planting this deep. Again, there's the tomato right there. Because what I want to do is utilize all these little hairs up and down. So we're going to take these bottom leaves off. That way we can bury it from here all the way up to here. And I could probably take these two off too, but we're just going to go to right here. And this is what I always do. It's not too root bound, so that's a good thing. But here's my mixture, blood meal and bone meal. That right there is what I have always done. Just sit that in here, bury it in. And I probably could have buried this a little deeper, honestly, but that's okay. We're good right there. Okay, y'all, that is literally what I have always done. And I've always had success with this. And even over there in the raised bed, which let me show you that right now. 3 weeks ago, I had these two cherry tomato plants in these little tiny pots. And I decided to move them into the bed, into the flower bed. And look how good they're doing. These plants have probably doubled since I put them over here. And I mean, this one is just putting on fruit everywhere. Back in there, this one has fruit right here growing. I thought I saw some other ones. Oh yeah, right here, some more right back in here. So these two plants are doing good. But again, these are now in a raised bed. But I did exactly what I just showed you. Put the blood meal and bone meal mixture down around the bottom of the root ball, watered them in, and was done with it. So those should do really well. They're already doing really well, honestly. But container gardening is different. You have to remember, the only nutrients that your plants can get in a container are what you give them. They can't send their roots out searching for whatever they need because they're confined to a container. So you have to provide that to them. So yes, there is a difference, obviously, in container gardening. But this is where planting cherry tomatoes in a pot is different based upon a video that I watched from Next Level Gardening. Brian put out a how to grow cherry tomatoes in container video, I think last week before. And I actually watched it. Now, I normally don't watch other YouTubers' videos. That's 100% honest. I don't want to be jaded. I don't want someone to come back and be like, oh, you ripped this person off. That is never what I want to do because, one, I enjoy getting out here and experimenting. Two, I love researching an idea that I get or how to do this, that, or the other. So I don't want to be jaded usually when I'm growing or when I'm doing a video or I'm teaching something that I've learned or I'm experimenting. But that video stopped me. The thumbnail caught me because I was like, man, have I been doing these wrong? Well, according to him, I have. Now, this is what he recommends everyone do for their cherry tomatoes because the plants are different than, say, an indeterminate that you would vine, like a beefsteak tomato. Those are different types of tomato plants than a cherry tomato. The reason for that is that a cherry tomato plant, you basically do the exact opposite of what you do for a vining indeterminate tomato, where you take off all the side growths, you get rid of all the suckers, and you just focus on the fruiting parts of the vegetable plant as it's growing up the trellis. Well, with a cherry tomato, you pretty much just let it be. Let it grow as crazy as it gets because most of the fruiting part of the cherry tomato plant comes from that side growth, comes from those suckers that you just let go. So that's why they're different. And that's what caught my eye on that video. So enough beating around the bush. Let me show you exactly what he says to do for a cherry tomato plant in a container. Y'all, have you ever been out there in the garden? This is a total squirrel break right here. But I see my dog and I just got to show it to y'all. This dog's got the best life. Look at my girl. Look at my girl right there. She just living her best life. My baby George. You good girl. Look, yeah. It's all right. We're gonna make you famous right here. Everyone say hi. All right, go back to sleep. You're good. Go back to sleep. Love that dog. Back to the video. Well, let's dig the hole. Again, same type of tomato plant. Dig the hole. Nice and deep right there. We're gonna do the same thing. Now there's actually two plants growing in here, so I'm just gonna leave them alone. Because again, they're cherry tomato plants. It's totally normal. Take off all these useless leaves again. And we're gonna put that in here. But here's where his method is different. He uses this right here. Crab and lobster shell, Neptune's Harvest. This is what he showed in his video, so I ordered it. I literally ordered everything that he said in the video. So this experiment is as perfect as it can be. Okay, he took a nice little handful of these, put them in there at the bottom. Woo. Definitely smell the crab and seafood on that. Mixed it in down here at the bottom, just like so. And he planted the plant, and he buried it. Now I could have went deeper again, but these are fine. Okay, so that was step one of what he explained to do. Step two was adding gypsum to add more calcium to your soil. So we are going to now, he didn't do a lot, but we're going to sprinkle this around. I think that's probably about like what he did, and he just mixed it in just like that. Okay, looks good to me. Last thing he mentioned was magnesium, and that is to help just make those tomato plants grow, make the fruit nice and big, and to keep away, and all three of these help keep away blossom end rot, which you don't want on anything that you're growing. But that's always a lack of calcium, and that's what that was for, and the gypsum was for. Both of these was to help with the blossom end rot, make sure it stays away, and that's just adding a lot of calcium into your soil. But you also need to add magnesium, and that is where Epsom salt comes in. Now, with Epsom salt, I've always stayed away from this. I've read so many different reviews on Epsom salt that I don't use this ever. In fact, this is the first time I'm ever going to put Epsom salt anywhere in the garden. But this is what he recommended to do. Now, not a lot of it, because again, this is salt, and I think that's more than enough right there. Again, said to mix it in really good. That is essentially exactly what he explained to do in that video, and why. Again, I am not trying to disprove his method or anything like that. This is simply an experiment to have a little fun and to see honestly if I've really been doing it wrong or if his way is just that much better. It does make more sense because he added more nutrients to his soil. So that plant should be a lot bigger and produce a lot more fruit. But you never know. Maybe my method will stay neck and neck with his. I don't know. This will just be fun, have a little fun here, as I'm always trying to experiment and just do something different in the garden. I want to ask you all this. If you have a different method or another ingredient, so to speak, that you add to your cherry tomato plants that are in pots, please drop that down in the comments. Share that knowledge with everyone, and let's just help better everyone's knowledge here in the gardening YouTube community. Now, finishing up, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. It's just a little fun video. It was in my mind. I was thinking about it for about a week, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, have some fun with it. Now, the last thing I have to do is water those in really, really good. Make sure you get water all the way to the bottom and let those tomato roots just start shooting out and getting all the nutrients that they need. But if you all think I'm crazy, if you think his way is gonna work better, or if you think my way will work better, or if you think it's gonna be a tie, or if you just think I'm a little nuts for even trying this, drop those in the comments, but be nice. Don't beat me up too bad. I want to invite anyone who has not subscribed to this channel to please do so. Just hit that little bell so you're always notified whenever I upload videos. And until next time, everyone, take care, God bless, and I'll talk to y'all again real soon. We'll see how it works.